You know, people always talk about the PS1 like it was all blocky polygons and clunky 3D. But guys, some of the best looking games on that console were actually 2D. These devs didn't care about showing off tech, they cared about making art that still looks awesome today. From crazy animations to rich backgrounds, these games had a whole vibe going. So yeah, today we're diving into 20 2D PS1 titles that are seriously gorgeous. In the meantime, I need you guys to drop your go-to game on PS1. Let's get started.
Very well, but you will change your mind soon, I assure you.
Mega Man X4. The moment Mega Man X4 boots up and that anime intro hits, it feels like the PS1 is flexing on every other 2D game of its time. Playing as X and Zero isn't just a skin swap. It's two completely different ways to slice through the same stages. Long range, precise blasting with X, or aggressive, in-your-face swordplay with Zero. The platforming is fast. Wall jumps feel ultra smooth, and the dash into jump combo becomes second nature, especially when you're threading through enemy fire and tight gaps. What really makes it feel ahead of its time is how clean the sprites and effects look even today. Detailed character animations, flashy special moves, and those huge boss designs that fill the screen without the game breaking a sweat. It's that perfect mix of tight gameplay and slick 2D visuals that totally earns its place on a way ahead of its time PS1 list.
One fateful day, the evil Mr. Dark steals the Great Protoon and defeats Spatilla the Fairy as she tries to protect it!
Rayman. Rayman always feels like stepping into a living cartoon, and that's what hooks me every time. It's a 2D platformer where you're running, jumping, and using those floating fists to punch enemies across these crazy, colorful worlds. The backgrounds look hand-painted, the animations are super smooth, and the parallax scrolling makes every stage feel deep and alive, not flat. What really impressed me is how the game looks soft and cute, but then the difficulty suddenly punches you in the face with precise jumps and tough enemy patterns. That mix of cozy art and brutal challenge is why it stuck with me so much. If you love old-school platformers that actually make you sweat, and you appreciate detailed 2D art that still looks clean today, Rayman is the kind of game that you'll obsess over until you finally beat it.
Mission 1, start!
Metal Slug X. Thinking about Metal Slug X always reminds me why 2D action will never die. It's a side-scrolling run-and-gun where you're constantly moving forward, rescuing hostages, hopping into tanks, and turning the whole screen into one big explosion. The pixel art is insanely detailed for its time. Tiny animations on soldiers, collapsing buildings, smooth recoil on your weapons, and some of the juiciest explosions on PS1. What made me love it so much is that perfect mix of chaos and control. You're dodging bullets by a pixel, but laughing at the over-the-top madness happening around you. Boss fights are huge, silly, and intense, which keeps the energy high all the way through. If you enjoy arcade-style shooters, local co-op, and 2D graphics that still look crisp and expressive today, Metal Slug X absolutely deserves a try. Strider 2. There's this kind of rush you get the moment you start slicing through enemies at high speed in Strider 2. and that's what made it click for me. It is a super fast 2D action platformer where you're wall running, flipping through the air, and cutting down enemies with huge, flashy sword slashes. The stages feel like futuristic paintings in motion, with bold colors and layered backgrounds that make every area look dramatic and stylish. You're barely ever standing still and always moving forward like an anime ninja on turbo mode. The game is perfect if you love stylish action, short but intense levels, and that arcade feel where every run pushes you to go faster and cleaner. If you're into games that make you feel overpowered but still demand quick reflexes, this one absolutely deserves a try.
But enough talk! How about you?
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Sometimes the game just feels like art in motion, and Symphony of the Night is that game for me. You're exploring this massive, interconnected 2D castle, slashing monsters, finding secrets, and slowly turning Alucard into an absolute beast with new weapons, spells, and forms. The way the castle is designed makes every hallway and hidden room feel important, and that layered, gothic background work still looks gorgeous even today. What really makes it interesting is how smooth the movement and combat feel. Like the game is always rewarding curiosity and experimentation instead of rushing you. I love how it mixes RPG elements with platforming, so leveling up and collecting gear actually changes how you play. If you're into deep exploration, moody vampire vibes, and 2D visuals that refuse to age, this is the kind of PS1 game you can sink hours into without even noticing. Street Fighter Alpha 3. So Street Fighter Alpha 3 on PS1 isn't just another fighting game. It's a full-on arcade experience in your living room, packed with a huge roster and stylish anime-inspired visuals that still look clean today. The gameplay feels sharp and responsive, with air blocks, custom combos, and different isms that let you tweak how your character plays, so you can really find a style that matches you. What pulled me in was how every match felt different, whether I was casually messing around with friends or sweating it out trying to learn tougher combos. If you're the kind of player who loves local multiplayer, flashy supers, and learning a main to absolutely bully your friends with, this is one of those PS1 fighters that actually never gets old.
Lady, go!
Set kick! Hey! Set kick! Hey!
The King of Fighters 98. Let's move from one legendary fighter to another. This game cranks that 2D brawl energy up even more. The King of Fighters 98 is all about team battles, tight inputs, and that classic SNK style that just oozes attitude. You pick a squad of 3 characters and tag them in across rounds, which makes every matchup feel like a mini mind game. What really grabbed me is how weighty the hits feel and how expressive the sprites are, even with the PS1's limits. The animations, the backgrounds, the supers, everything looks bold and punchy. This one shines if you enjoy mastering inputs, reading your opponent, and slowly getting better over time. Fans of competitive fighters, arcade culture, and stylish 2D pixel art will find a lot to love here, especially if you're into sitting down with friends and grinding set after set.
Fight! Superb.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy. What really pulls me into the Mortal Kombat trilogy is how it feels like an over-the-top greatest hits package of the older MK games, crammed into one brutal 2D fighter. You get a massive lineup of characters, classic stages, and tons of finishers, so every match has that "what crazy thing will happen next" energy. The gameplay is faster than the early arcade versions, with juggles and combos that feel super satisfying once you get used to the timing. Visually, the digitized character sprites and bloody effects give that raw, gritty look the series is known for. And on PS1, it still hits pretty hard. This is perfect for people who love couch multiplayer, nostalgia-fueled chaos, and fighters that don't take themselves too seriously. If you enjoy learning cheesy combos, pulling off ridiculous fatalities, and hyping up the room with every KO, this one should absolutely be on your list. Silhouette Mirage. The cool thing about Silhouette Mirage is how it messes with your brain in a fun way. It's a 2D action platformer where your character has two sides, one that deals damage and one that absorbs it. That whole switching colors to hit or drain enemies idea makes every fight feel like a little puzzle instead of just random button mashing. The game looks wild too. Bright, anime-style visuals, funny enemy designs, and smooth attacks that make the screen feel busy but never messy. What made me love it is how creative it feels, like the devs really wanted to try something different on PS1 instead of another basic shooter. If you enjoy quirky mechanics, stylish 2D art, and games that make you think while still feeling fast and fun, this one is a hidden gem that fits perfectly on a way ahead of its time list. Tomba! What makes Tomba so special to me is how alive the world feels. It looks like a cute 2D platformer at first, but then you realize it's packed with side quests, weird characters, and little secrets everywhere. You're running, jumping, biting enemies, and grabbing onto ledges while the game keeps throwing new ideas at you instead of repeating the same thing. The way the stages shift depth, letting you move between foreground and background paths, makes it feel bigger than a normal side-scroller. I love how it mixes lighthearted, cartoon visuals with surprisingly clever objectives that keep you curious. This is the kind of game you'll remember long after the credits roll. Alundra. So, Alundra is an overhead 2D action adventure where you explore towns, dungeons, and people's actual dreams, swinging your weapon, solving tough puzzles, and uncovering a surprisingly dark story. The pixel art is super clean, with detailed environments and expressive characters that make the world feel grounded even when things get weird. I loved how the game doesn't baby you. The dungeon puzzles can be properly challenging, and beating them feels genuinely satisfying. The emotional tone also hits hard, with moments that stay in your head long after. If you enjoy classic top-down adventures, tricky puzzle rooms, and stories that aren't afraid to get a bit heavy, Alundra is the kind of 2D PS1 game that will quietly crawl into your favorites list and refuse to leave. Heart of Darkness. Instead of a typical hero, here you're just a scared kid trying to save his dog, and that's exactly why Heart of Darkness hits me. This is a 2D cinematic platformer, so it plays more like an interactive animated movie than a normal action game. You're doing careful jumps, climbing, timing your moves, and using light and a blaster to deal with these shadow creatures that basically represent the kid's fear of the dark. The big hook is how good it looks in motion. Pre-rendered backgrounds, super smooth sprite animation, and cutscenes that blend almost seamlessly into gameplay. What made me love it is how often it surprised me with brutal deaths, but still pulled me back with its atmosphere. If you like slower, skill-based platformers with dark fairy tale energy and amazing 2D presentation, this one's for you. The Adventure of Little Ralph. Every time this game comes up, it feels like someone secretly made a Super SNES platformer and snuck it into the PS1. It is a fast, side-scrolling 2D action platformer where you're sprinting through stages, slicing enemies with a sword, and dealing with proper old-school difficulty. What grabbed me is how smooth the movement feels. Jumps are tight, enemy patterns are fair but demanding, and boss fights actually test your reactions instead of being pushovers. On top of that, the pixel art looks way cleaner than you'd expect from a retro-style game on a 3D-obsessed console, with colorful backgrounds and sharp character sprites. I like it so much because it scratches that pure arcade platformer itch without any bloat, just level after level of refined challenge. If you're into games like classic Genesis or SNES action titles and want to see what that style looks like at its peak on PS1, this one is a total gem. Gundam Battle Assault. Straight up, this one hooked me just because it makes every punch and beam attack feel huge. It's a 2D fighting game, but instead of regular fighters, you're piloting giant mobile suits and smashing each other across the screen. The sprites are big, detailed, and full of personality, with flashy specials and dramatic hit effects that make every round look like a mini anime battle. I really love how each mech feels different. Some are nimble, some are heavy hitters, so you actually change your playstyle depending on who you pick. The pacing is a bit slower than something like Street Fighter, but that works here because it sells the weight of the machines. If you're into Gundam, giant robots, or just want a fighter that looks badass in motion and doesn't want to play exactly like every other 2D brawler, this one is a blast, especially in versus with a friend. In the Hunt. Underwater shooters don't usually stick with me, but In the Hunt is different because it turns that slow, heavy feeling into pure tension. You're piloting a submarine in a 2D side-scrolling shooter, inching forward while bullets, torpedoes, and explosions fill the screen. Every movement feels deliberate, and that makes dodging and lining up your shots super satisfying. What makes it stand out is the destruction. Ships sinking, buildings crumbling, the whole battlefield reacting to your attacks like a tiny war movie. I liked it because it rewards patience instead of pure rushdown play. You feel smart when you survive a dense wave of enemies by carefully weaving through. If you enjoy shooters but want something with a different pace and a heavier, more tactical vibe, this one is perfect, especially if you love detailed pixel art and screens packed with chaos. Panzer Bandit. Some games just feel like an arcade cabinet in your living room, and Panzer Bandit is one of those for me. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up where you're constantly moving forward, juggling enemies in the air, and chaining fast combos that make every fight feel stylish. The screen gets busy, in a good way, with flashy attacks, chunky hit effects, and lively backgrounds that make everything look way more next-gen than you'd expect from a sprite-based brawler. You're not just mashing, you're actually timing launches, dashes, and special moves. I liked it because it gives that same rush as classic arcade beat-em-ups, but with more anime flair and speed. If you enjoy couch co-op, aggressive melee combat, and 2D visuals that still look sharp and energetic today, Panzer Bandit is a total no-brainer. The Adventures of Lomax. There's a special kind of charm in a game that looks like a children's book, but plays like a real challenge. This is a 2D platformer where you control a knightly lemming, running, jumping, and using classic Lemmings-style abilities to get through levels packed with traps. The visuals are what really make it pop. Super colorful backgrounds, smooth animations, and that hand-drawn look that feels way too good for early 3D era hardware. I love how every stage feels like a little adventure, with smart enemy placement and platforming that actually tests your timing. If you're into classic platformers with strong art direction and that slightly underrated gem vibe, Lomax is the kind of game that feels made for people who never stopped loving 16-bit style 2D games. Valkyrie Profile. What grabbed me about Valkyrie Profile is how different it feels from most PS1 RPGs. It mixes 2D side view exploration with turn-based combat that plays almost like a rhythm game, where each character is mapped to a button and you time your hits to juggle enemies in the air. That system makes every battle feel active instead of just menu heavy. The visuals are gorgeous. Detailed character sprites, dramatic spell effects, and rich backgrounds that give the whole world a heavy Norse mythology mood. I found it interesting because recruiting fallen warriors and seeing their tragic stories makes your party feel personal, not just like stats. If you enjoy RPGs but want something that's more hands-on in combat, with emotional storytelling and beautiful 2D presentation, this one is a go-to. Harmful Park. This one honestly feels like someone mixed a cute anime comedy with a hardcore shooter. Harmful Park is a 2D horizontal shmup set in a twisted theme park, where you're flying around using food-based weapons and weird gadgets to blast enemies. The gameplay is classic shoot-'em-up, dodging bullet patterns, grabbing power-ups, and trying to stay alive as the screen fills with chaos. What makes it different is the ridiculous amount of detail and personality in every stage. Background jokes, goofy enemy designs, and bright, super clean pixel art that still looks fresh. I love how it manages to be silly and lighthearted while still giving a real challenge if you crank up the difficulty. If you're into shooters like Parodius or other cute but deadly games, and you want something that looks amazing and doesn't take itself too seriously, Harmful Park is pure gold. And that wraps up this ultimate badass trip through some of the best looking 2D gems the PS1 ever pulled off. These games proved that even in a 3D obsessed era, sharp pixel art, Smooth animation and smart design could still steal the show. If any of these titles sparked a bit of nostalgia, or maybe you add a new game to your must-play list, then this video did its job. Now it's your turn. Tell me which one you grew up with, which one shocked you the most, or which one you're about to try for the first time. Hit like, drop a comment, and let's keep 2D greatness alive. Thanks for watching!